My introduction to music came through my parents, who were in a jazz band, the Jazz Trio. My dad played stand-up bass and my mom sang. And they brought home instruments one Christmas, a bass for me, a guitar for my oldest brother, and drums for my middle brother. My first gig in front of an audience was when I was 8 years old at the elementary school, and then I stayed in that band till I was about 20. And at that time, I moved to New York. I met Reb Beach at Atlantic Studios in 1983, I believe. I was working with a producer named Beau Hill, who gave Reb and I a lot of opportunities to play on albums. And one of the albums I got to play on was Alice Cooper. I was able to record a few songs on that album, and then they hired me to go out on a tour. I toured with them for about a year, did another album. But I wanted to write my own music, and I had met Reb and we had made some demos. And in Alice Cooper I met Paul Taylor, and so I kind of put those two guys together in my head and formed the idea of Winger. So my first experience with ballet, when I was 16 years old, I had a girlfriend who wanted to take ballet, but none of her friends would do it with her, and I was like, hey, I'll do it. When we walked into the studio, there was classes of all levels, and I remember looking into the advanced class and hearing this incredible music and seeing people with their legs higher than Bruce Lee could get them, and I thought, oh my God, this is incredible. And I took to it like a duck to water. I mean, I was hooked from the very first class, and I went on to be in a small ballet company when I was 18, and I loved it. I took class every single day, and I rocked out in the clubs to Van Halen and Led Zeppelin at night. One of the primary reasons that I wanted to learn how to compose classical music was wanting to compose music for ballet, because I'd taken class for years and years, and it was deeply in my heart. The music I was hearing, Debussy and Stravinsky and Tchaikovsky and Prokofiev. So my process for doing classical music came late. I wanted to learn the language on the terms that you would speak to a classical musician and not be like the rock guy that came in and kind of knows what he's doing. So I found a teacher at the University of New Mexico, and I studied with him for quite a while. And then I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, and I found another teacher, Michael Curick, and I studied with him. And then he introduced me to Richard Danielpour at Manhattan School of Music in New York, and I flew to New York once a month to study with him. So I've done my best to go through what a typical music student would do going to university, but I was always on tour, so I had to do it, privately. So specifically wanting to write music for ballet, I had a friend at New York City Ballet who introduced me to Chris Wheeldon. So I had composed the first movement of Ghosts, and in fact, I recorded the first movement of Ghosts here in Austin with the Tosca String Quartet, adding a bass player and a pianist. I sent the first movement of Ghosts to Chris Wheeldon and immediately got an email back, and he said, I love this, I really love this, but it's very short, can you make it longer? And so, I felt like, oh my God, this is amazing, what a great opportunity. And then about 8 months later, Chris emailed me and said, I love this music and I'd love to set it on San Francisco Ballet. And when I first saw it, it completely blew me away. A lot of people ask me what the similarities, if any, there are between writing classical music and rock music. And it could seem like a stretch, but for me it's very similar. Beethoven was a rock star. Dun 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 dun, and that's a rock riff. So one feeds the other for me. I'm one of the people that can't not do music. I'm always hearing music. The challenge for me is to keep pushing forward to create new things that I haven't done, refine my skills to speak more articulately, especially in classical music, because so many came before me that are so great. I try never to take anything for granted in the gifts I've been given of opportunities and what I'm presenting as my new work.